All right, count of three. 1, 2, 3. I'm still so glad there was a double save last week.
Me too. I rewatched that episode immediately.
I thought for sure that Bianca and Trinity were going to win.
I totally forgot to mention this in the previous episode, but I think like Bianca herself also thought that she had that main challenge like secured, because they looked disappointed after RuPaul announced that it was Laganja and Adore as the main challenge like winners. You could tell like they had that face like
Yeah, because they had gotten good critiques both for their performances and for their runways, where that wasn't true with Laganja and Adore. Like, judges really disliked Laganja's outfit for one. So I think they were surprised.
Darian is not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she did a carry for that win. Also, you could see that RuPaul was kind of disappointed in having to actually say that they were the winners of the. He was like, "You're the winners of this, like, of this part of the competition." And also seemed a little disappointed to say that Darian had won or that Darian was staying.
That was a surprisingly weird episode all around. Like all the way through.
The drama with Courtney and Jocelyn came out in Untucked too, from that last episode, where Courtney really just read Jocelyn for her looks, and Jocelyn's really hurt because she was a huge fan of Courtney before she got on the show.
Wow. Jeez.
It's just like super awkward. But it almost feels like Courtney doesn't realize like you're being really rude.
Yeah, totally. Courtney has really plummeted for me in this competition, just in terms of my favorites. Jocelyn, on the other hand, has really gone up. I'm just hoping that Jocelyn can do a little bit more than this, like, the dental floss.
I think that she really excels like in acting challenges. Like she's actually great, and it feels like the runways are just hurting her because they're not like commenting on that. They're just seeing you're in the same outfit.
Yeah, see, that's where I think Courtney's kind of coming from too, and it's not reading right, because she's trying to be helpful and say, like, this is why you're not doing this well, but it really comes off very harsh.
She's doing the Emily Gilmore approach to help, and it doesn't feel good.
Oh, I love this challenge. I cannot wait to see this.
Oh, this is a great mini challenge.
I did this in grade school where I hung off a table like this and lip synced. It was so fun. And my
Oh, that's
song was
amazing.
Weird Al.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. This would be so much fun to do and just ridiculous. I love anything with googly eyes.
I have a collection of googly eyes. I buy them every time I'm in the store and I see them.
Okay, you need to take a picture of this because I need to see it.
Yeah,
Somebody-
it's really like I'm a crafter, but I never use them when I'm crafting. I just buy them because I like them.
Somebody put googly eyes on the cow on our like farmer sign, like the road sign that's down there. That's for our farm. There's a cow sign. But somebody put, we don't know who did it, put googly eye, and it's hilarious. I think I'm gonna put them on all of them out here.
That was such a silly challenge.
My sons think it's funny to put googly eyes on like the most random things around our house.
I find these mini challenges a fun, cute little like show diversion, but as competition, I never really know what's going on or who's who or what I should be focused on in terms of the win.
Same.
Like from a competition standpoint, they don't really fit into the competition show for me.
Well, they don't really seem to matter much in terms of the actual competition. Like they don't, the judges never seem to really give them any weight. They might give the like somebody an advantage in the maxi challenge, but it's really, I think you're right. I think it really is just kind of meant to be like a fun thing.
I'm a little surprised by that because the first two of the season seem so big and important, but they've just gone down.
Yeah, completely. Like that first one where they jump into the styrofoam was one of my favorite competition pieces of the series. Um, and since then, those mini challenges just they really just don't do much except just add a little bit of tone.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. I
Well,
didn't
but the
understand why they changed.
but in the first episode of the season, they don't really have a maxi challenge, right? It's just that, and then the runway challenge is the maxi challenge. So like the runway and that are like in one. So I feel like they make them bigger on
Well,
episodes
it's a
where,
design challenge though. So that
yeah,
they do have those, which would be the big part of the maxi challenge.
yeah. I think that it's interesting because the show seems to have like, especially in the earlier years, kind of an identity crisis between like, is it Project Runway? Is it America's Next Top Model? Is it, like they just haven't found like their own complete identity yet. But yeah, sorry, I'll stop talking.
I'm curious to see how this show has evolved in later seasons because that is something like where I'm not really totally sure. Is it a docu series or is it a competition series?
I
Or what does it
just
want to be
finished
more of?
I just finished binging all of it. And it is very interesting to watch it evolve. It does change a bit, but it stays true to what it is now.
I think sometimes with the mini challenges and the winner, it's definitely a production thing where the person winning is getting an advantage to sway the something one way or another to encourage some more drama. Like I think that's why Jocelyn won this one is because they producers know what's going on behind the scenes. They know that, Jocelyn is kind of in a fight with Courtney. Now she gets to pick the order of the comedy act so she could sink Courtney.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's just more that the actual, and I don't have any problem with that. I just would prefer to to be on the edge of my seat about the competition itself, even if it is a mini challenge. Whereas the mini challenges so far, you know, or lately, have really just been like almost like a treated as a little music video. I have no idea who's who. I'm not. It goes by so fast, and so I don't really have any investment in who's actually going to win the.
Yeah, I agree. Have they said who the guest judges are going to be this time? Did I?
I know Jamie Presley's one of them. I totally am blanking on the name of the other guest judge for this episode tonight. Hold on.
Darian's funny. Like, she should do really well at this. Lagrange is not that funny to me, so I'm not preparing myself for anything good.
Yeah, I mean,
I
Lagrange.
do. I love her boots, those wrestling boots. I mean, that's kind of what they are. I
Yes.
love them. I want them.
Oh, I think it's hilarious right now that she's sitting underneath the table.
I think you say his name is Bruce Valanche, the other guest judge for tonight's episode. So it's Bruce
Oh,
Valanche
yeah.
and Jamie
I mean,
Presley.
this this character that Lagrange is doing is part of what you were referring to as cringy. Am I correct, Al? Because I'm cringing.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, I'm expecting Laganja to not do well and Darian to come out of nowhere and do it because she's been quippy.
What is Laganja wearing on her head?
A no smoking sign.
It's a good
Why?
question, though.
Why?
Nobody knows.
I
That's a good
mean,
question, like for a majority of this season.
I mean,
Yes.
just
Laganja, why? Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
just because it's good enough for me. Like, I think it's hilarious.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be a joke because obviously she smokes a lot.
I'm getting nervous for them. I feel like writing jokes is one of the hardest things that somebody
Yeah,
can do.
I agree. I'm with.
I
Yeah,
just think it's
stand
so
up is not
funny.
easy.
It's so funny watching this after like watching the premiere of Maisel last night with like all the
Yeah, I
bombing
was
and the
thinking
jokes.
that.
John, are you ready for more crickets?
Oh no, Trinity, I forgot.
I am
Oh,
very
this
scared.
response every time.
Oh no. Oh
I'm
no.
very scared for Trinity.
I
I
just
am
I just look,
deeply, deeply scared.
Trinity, have you done this before? And the answer is always no.
And it's always, I can't tell you right now what's going to happen.
I just wish the attitude would change a little bit.
Yeah.
She has
P.S.
very
That
sad eyes. I always feel for her, though. She's so insecure.
Yeah. P.S. though, that Bianca exchange like made me fall in love pretty hard with her.
More than already, like you
More,
already are.
I mean, it was kind of impossible, but like it solidified it for me. It was so funny.
I love Adore.
I'm sorry, but Jocelyn is far from dumb.
No, this is genius. This order she's putting.
Yeah, I mean, it almost makes Courtney look dumb that she is not that she doesn't recognize how smart Jocelyn is.
Darian's wearing another sparkly dress. I remember the comment last time. I think it was Mandy. It was like, Darian really likes sparkle.
Darian
Yep,
is
she
gonna
loves to sparkle.
Darian's gonna crush it. Darian's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah, she's a comedy queen, so this is her challenge, I feel. But the audience may be an audience she's not used to.
No, I actually even think that they're gonna laugh at that arc joke. I can't imagine that they would find that would to be
I
weird.
found it funny, but
Yeah, it's a good joke. And I think that it's gonna be hard to watch Trinity. I have a feeling that that's part of the cringe that Elle was talking. And I think that Laganja is gonna be real hard to watch.
Does anybody have any like quick predictions for top 3, bottom 3?
I think Courtney is going to be amongst the bottom 3.
I'm gonna say Darian, Bianca, and Adore will be top 3,
I
and
agree
then
with that.
bottom 3 would be like um, Trinity and Laganja, and I don't know.
I
Courtney.
think
Yeah,
that
I
Jocelyn.
agree.
I think Jocelyn could be in the top. I think that Dela could be in the top as well. I do agree that Bianca and Darian seem pretty obvious, top contenders. But between that third, I think Adore, I think Dela, and I think Jocelyn. All three of them could really surprise us. Trinity and Laganja, I think it's going to be hard. Those two are, I'd say, a good 90% chance they're in the bottom.
Yeah, I have I have a thought about this too when we're done, because
I have to tell you guys, after binging so much of this, CoverGirl is now like one of my top 5 favorite songs.
I can hear you, Kendra.
Oh my gosh, sorry. You can probably hear my children screaming because they're playing video games and me crunching.
oh, he's excited.
I love Darian's delivery.
Better than Joel and
I mean, just
It's marvelous.
good. I knew that was edited for the commercial.
Yeah.
I love Rue's
I
laugh.
loved that.
Yikes.
Door's face.
Yikes. Oh, good lord.
Door. Her face.
And Rue's face. Rue's reactions are really telling.
That was
Her outfit's giving me very much superhero vibes.
That's funny.
oh no. I,
I thought it was good.
I thought it would be better.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I always thought like, it was
Dayla
kind
looks
of
so
hard to
cute
tell
though.
how like it's edited, if that's their whole set, if they bombed that way, or if it was more like edited that way, you know.
Yikes.
Yeah. I mean, Dayla looks adorable. I love this look. That's a pro.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, God.
There's no pauses for them to laugh. It's
I was just
so
going to
fast.
say, this is not a comedy routine.
This is cringy.
Please leave. Please leave the
Oh, she's
Oh
stage.
knitting.
my gosh, she's knitting. How precious.
Dayla, please leave the stage. Please leave.
Um, that was that was a
Oh.
Heckling.
lot. Okay, that was a lot.
Oh.
Oh.
Just panning on the audience. Oh,
I mean,
I
what
don't
that
know
was
what that
brutal. It wasn't like a
was.
one woman show.
Oh,
Like, what was that?
and this is iconic.
That was tough.
I love her look. I am all about this.
It reminds me of Cool World, like Hollywood. Not Hollywood, the other one in Cool World.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Oh no. I like the
Oh, my. Oh, my goodness. This is a very good episode.
I just love your reaction.
That was very cringy.
Th- This is a really good episode.
Yeah. And I warned you.
Oh, don't tell me that Trinity ends up freaking crushing it.
right?
I hope so because I need something. I need something to hold on to.
Okay. Bianca liked that too.
I'm telling you, she is a performer. You get her in the moment and she just clicks into it.
What is happening right
This is
now?
insane. This is the best. This is the best one by far.
This
I've
is
heard that.
one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I love it.
I'm so happy for her.
Oh my god, that was incredible.
She is, oh my, that's amazing. How she's able to overcome like her insecurities, it's mind blowing.
Um, okay.
I didn't get that.
I love
That's a good.
RuPaul's
That's because it
face.
wasn't a joke.
That was a good joke.
I love Cocoon.
I love her. This
It's a
was
great
amazing.
joke for the audience because, you know, they know Cocoon for sure.
And they weren't old then.
That's true.
Okay.
I really
That was
love
probably
that
the
dress
best
that
joke.
Bianca's wearing.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Jello all around.
Bianca knows how to play to her audience.
That
That
was really
was
good too.
that was amazing. That was awesome. All right, well, Trinity and Bianca,
Yeah. And
like
Darian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Darian
Darian,
was
but
good.
I think that Trinity and Bianca like are kind of a good step above Darian, personally. I want it to be Trinity, but I have a feeling it's going to be Bianca. Whoa.
I actually think that Bendela Creme looks a lot like Michelle.
Oh, me too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
mentioned that in the first episode that Dayla was on.
Laganja to me gives like participation trophies as a kid vibes to me. Like I just can't anymore.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly accurate.
Like I'm here, I did it. Like why can't I have a prize? Like it's terrible. No.
Ooh,
That was really pretty eyeshadow, though.
oh, so good.
Oh.
Oh, I love it.
I think Jocelyn looks like a young Brooke Shields.
It's the jawline.
Oh yeah, I could totally see it. Just needs different eyebrows.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, just Bia- Bianca just absolutely slayed the competition. I really want Trinity to win this, but I think that honestly, Bianca just I think is I guess she deserves it.
I would hope that Trinity would, because I mean this is Bianca's comfort zone, obviously, and Trinity, like, this is a huge leap for her.
For
So I'm
sure.
hoping like the progress counts.
Me too. Me too.
Any predictions for bottom two?
I think Dayla is in bottom two. I definitely think Laganja is in bottom.
As much as I love Adore, I felt like her tears were very fake.
It's kind of true. There was nothing stoner about her character at all. Those who haven't seen it, what are you thinking? Bianca or Trinity?
Trinity. I'm gonna hope Trinity.
You're gonna hope Trinity, but you think Trinity?
I actually think Trinity too.
I think Bianca will win, but I want Trinity to win.
Yeah, I
Ditto.
want Trinity to win, but Bianca's gonna win.
She didn't. She didn't win it, did she?
No.
No, you've won it.
I'm not angry about it though. She totally did amazing.
She did. She did. She deserves it. It isn't as satisfying. Personally, it's not as satisfying, but
Yeah.
I
I'm with.
I feel like it wouldn't have been as bad if they had won last week, because then
Yeah.
Trinity would have already had her kind of win, right? And then now not winning this when she did so well, it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah. That's ooh, that look. She's defeated.
Let me just say, Untucked was a lot for this episode. Probably one of the top 5 Untucked episodes in the entirety of the show.
Wow.
ooh, whoa.
I really didn't see that one coming. Like, I definitely thought Ben did worse than Jocelyn
Yeah, I
in
did
that
too.
Ben didn't write a joke.
Yeah.
But Dela was just in the bottom the week before, and I don't know if she could survive a lip sync against Jocelyn or Laganja.
Oof. Let's see this.
Synchronized.
That
Oh
was
wow.
perfect.
Did they plan that?
That has to be rehearsed.
I doubt
No,
it.
nope. They only do the lip sync once.
I think Laganja, like her thing is to do the splits all the time. So I think Ben Delicrum like anticipated it and just like I'm gonna.
Oh, you
Jocelyn?
mean Jocelyn? Yeah. I
Yeah,
think that
Jocelyn.
when
Sorry.
she saw her doing it, she's like, oh no, you're not
Yeah.
doing that. I think Laganja goes home.
I'm gunning for Laganja to go home.
I want her to stay. Ugh.
Ooh.
That's tough.
That was funny.
Okay, I have to say, if I was a contestant on here and I got sent home, I would write on the entire freaking mirror because they have to clean it up after you leave.
Yes.
Just
Get some
paint the
little
whole thing
revenge.
red.
It's so interesting that like this episode was tonight. There's a and like a little mini episode on the RuPaul's Drag Race YouTube channel that just came out like this week with Laganja. Now they're like do a kind of tour of her house and stuff, and she really talks about like how she was actually like having a mental breakdown through most of that season, and like it just affected her, you know, so much in so many ways, and it's actually hard for her to watch back in a lot of ways.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's very
Don't
interesting.
watch it. Anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled. I'm just gonna say that much.
No,
Yes,
I
sorry.
would recommend watching it
Watch it after the season's over.
after you finish watching the season.
Yes, you're right. I felt like I could talk about it because she just got sent home, but you're correct. They do mention things that would spoil stuff. So thank you for that.
that episode was just towering. It was awesome. I think it's the best episode so far.
I have a question. So, you guys talk about the Untucked a lot. Is that also a show that can be streamed, or?
So Untucked can be streamed in a lot of places. It seems like right now, though, in the US, it's only available to purchase.
Oh, that sucks.
Paramount Plus has some seasons for free, but only a few.
Okay. Well, I'll check there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they took it off because I know it used to be on Hulu. So I'm not sure what happened there because I feel like it's really an integral part. Like the tagline Rue says is if you're not watching Untucked, you're not getting the full picture. And that's incredibly accurate because you see parts of characters that you don't see in the main episodes. You see like more fully formed storylines that just make more sense when you can watch Untucked paired with the main episode.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in watching it, so I'll look to see if I can find it on Paramount.
I
How do you
just
like
checked my Paramount and only season 9 and 10 are available,
Aw.
unfortunately.
How
You
do you
know,
all
if I
think Milk would have done if she were still here for the comedy?
I don't think Milk would have done well in this competition in this particular episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I
I
don't
think
think.
she would have bombed.
Yeah, I don't think Milk's thing is comedy. You know, and I have to say, like, what was so awesome about the episode was just, uh, I think the surprise of Trinity. That was the best part of the episode, and you know, all of the cringy stuff with Dela and with you know, just with Lagrange, all that stuff played into also why the episode is really compelling. You know, you kind of, it's like a train wreck. You can't not watch. You know, but um, I think that it's very clear that Bianca wins this challenge because if you just break down her performance, it just hits all the marks really well. She knows her audience, she's playing to her audience. But I thought Trinity's was a funnier act. It felt more it felt more grounded, I guess, especially given the fact that she was using her own life in the comedy, which I appreciate personally. And then you add to that just the huge surprise of her just killing it. Um, and I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed that she didn't win.
I actually thought that she like connected with the audience a little bit more in like a different way. Whereas Bianca sort of it felt like I was watching just like a comedy routine, but like with Trinity's it felt, I don't know, like more casual, so like more like she connected more, if that makes sense.
Just Bianca's felt more just like polished and clean. Bianca's character wasn't that much different than her Judge Judy thing. I mean, she kind of, that's her thing. She does it very, very well, you know, that I kind of, you know, that type of accent, you know. She does that really well, and it works so perfectly with comedy, and she's good at writing jokes. All of her jokes were like, you know, premium, like, get this person writing for a comedy show. Like, they are a professional. And yeah, I mean, like, you break all that down and it's like, okay, she kind of, she just, if you grade each one of those things on their own, they all just kind of come out. The computer spits it out as Bianca wins this one. But just from a human perspective, I was just more connected to Trinity, just because of all of the given circumstances, who she is, where she came into that comedy, where she was before, her nervousness, you know, all of that kind of put together. And the routine itself was funny, and it was well written, and it was just, and and, and I think it would have been more satisfying for her to have won.
Yeah, I agree completely, actually. I do wish that Trinity had won 'cause she did so well. But then there also is, we're comparing Trinity to Trinity and like her past performances and stuff. And then of course it's amazing seeing her do something so incredibly well. When Bianca really, she did do like a flawless job, like was mentioned. And that is what she does. You know, like Trinity said, like as a drag queen, generally what she does is lip syncs. So we've seen her be really good in lip syncs. Bianca is a host, is a comic. So I think she was just able to kind of handle start to finish maybe just a little bit like more effortlessly because it's something that she's so accustomed to and the judges were rewarding her for that.
It also felt very, yeah, I agree, and that's what I mean when I say, like, you know, it just feels sort of like the computer spits out the winner, and of course the computer is going to be, you know, correct in that, like, Bianca hits all of those marks. It felt though like an old school form of comedy, like it had like all of this like kind of classic, just sort of dated comedy style, which again, I didn't connect to it as much and didn't find it as funny because I felt like it was all really, you know, crafted humor. Whereas I did find Trinity's stuff funnier because it felt more human. But that is part of what makes Bianca, I guess, like the more honed performer, and that is she's speaking to an older crowd that would completely love that style of comedy, that old school, you know, that old school comedy style
And that's what Rue
with
loves
just like
too.
yeah, with like lots of little one-liners, joke after joke after joke after joke. You know, I don't personally find that kind of stand-up comedy that funny. You know, I like stuff that is a little bit more like experiential and talking about your life and stuff. That those are the comics that I specifically have fun with, and so I could only observe Bianca kind of as an outsider saying, yeah, yeah, that was solid. That was good, you know. And that's what I mean when I say kind of computer spits her out as the winner because obviously she hit everything perfectly.
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said like that's what the older audience would like, and she was catering and trying to appeal to that audience that was there. And like, we've talked about this before, we don't get to see the whole reaction. Like they edit it the way they want to, whatever. So I'm pretty sure the crowd liked Bianca more, and that's what counted more in that moment.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It was a great episode, though. I love this.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I don't know if I would say I liked it more than Snatch Games, though, because Snatched, like, that was I think, still my favorite, but this was pretty good.
I read the description for next week. They do. I can't wait until next week because those are my favorite episodes.
Are we not
They're
going to
great.
be here Friday? Or
I will be. Maybe.
So it's Wednesday's episode, not Friday's, right, Elle? That is the kind of weird one.
Yes.
Yes.
okay.
Also, before I forget, it is time to harvest. Just thought I'd sneak that in. Just a little bit.
Yeah,
So
it was
go ahead.
interesting that the harvest window opened while the episode was still going. Did we really start that late?
I guess so. I didn't think we did.
No, we didn't start that late.
Maybe the actual event is scheduled for only.
Yeah, I checked
Oh yeah, so
the event and
it's
it's only
only
scheduled
yeah,
for
it's
an
only for an
hour.
hour, which is
So,
weird.
mhm.
That's odd. That shouldn't be. It shouldn't be because these are 45-minute episodes. So usually 45-minute stuff go. We schedule it for an hour and a half so that you can get like at least a 45-minute discussion afterwards. That might be my mistake. Maybe I thought these were half-hour episodes.
No, I think that was longer. It was probably just another glitch with this particular.
Glitches in this app?
Never.
That couldn't
The
be.
the toothpicks would never allow a glitch to get through.
Yeah, of course not.
Hunter, there was something you mentioned during the episode. You said you wanted to talk about it at the end. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, a few times I don't know if this was intentional, but whenever now, especially after the last episode, like whenever Trinity is speaking, or especially during her act, they cut to Bianca a lot. And I'm wondering if it's just because they've become close and Bianca's helping her behind, the scenes more, or if that was like on Untucked, or they talked about it at all, because like they cut to Bianca a lot when Trinity is speaking.
Yeah, they've shown it a few times in the main episode, but a lot in Untucked because Bianca has really been a cheerleader for Trinity and has been encouraging her and supporting her in the Bianca way. And then like when Trinity came out and told everybody about her HIV diagnosis, um that's when Bianca had like her little talking head where she was talking about how that really changed her opinion on Trinity and how she really related because of what she had gone to with a friend in the past, and how because now she understood Trinity more, she was going to kind of like, look out for her more. And I think that's kind of a production thing, was just been showing that, trying to show like the softer side of Bianca as well, I think.
Okay, yeah, I just noticed it a lot, like this episode. Whenever Bianca would say something, or Rue would say something to, or when Trinity would say something and Rue would say something to Trinity, like they cut to Bianca, like looking like just having that proud friend look, and during her act, they always cut to Bianca laughing like a few times. So I just
And I believe at the end, after Lagrange is eliminated, I think Trinity and Bianca leave like the stage together. Like after they've jammed out to the music, they've had their fun, and they all go back to the workroom. I think they left together as well.
I love that. Yay.
It seems as though all of Chris's Firefly events somehow got truncated to an hour rather than an hour and a half. So I'm fixing the Firefly. It seems like something. It might have been that the the time zone change, or the time changes might have made some weird things.
John has app OCD now. Like whenever something pops up, he has to change it right then.
I was gonna say, like, I could extend the time, but I know that would definitely mess things up, especially since Elle and I are different in different time zones and everything like that. So I did make an announcement on Discord that there's like, I think I can't do math, 11 minutes remaining now to harvest. So I did that like a couple minutes ago, but I didn't want to mess any more things up in the app. So I was like, no, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it how it is.
I wish we had gotten a runway for this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it was
just
great.
noticed that.
They judged them when they were still in their stand-up outfits, and then they came back dressed up. Am I wrong? Right?
No, they were just in their same outfits.
Okay. Huh.
It did
I
feel
wonder.
odd not having that runway look challenge. It did feel odd. Yeah, I also wish there was one.
Yeah, and I feel like Runway, if you completely and utterly bombed the challenge, the Runway does give you a small chance to kind of redeem yourself in some small way. I know it doesn't count that much, but I feel like it it was super weird for them not to have that.
I
And
just enjoy it because I enjoy that part of
yeah.
the show. I like seeing the different looks and um, the different dresses, and I kind of like I I'm kind of into the walking as well. I'm like I find myself always focusing on how they're walking.
So I as like a first, like I've never seen the show before, and while I see the appeal of like the runway walk, like I get exactly what you're saying. For me, it gets really confusing and I almost don't really like it because I have a hard time then discerning what are we really kind of judging them on. I know it's a combination of like the runway and like whatever that challenge is, but I'm just used to, I guess, different competition shows where it becomes really clear what they're being judged on in that moment.
Have you ever watched Project Runway?
No.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I think that like for the here correct me if I'm wrong, Elle, or Regina, they're judging them on the actual the actual look of their that they've put together because they actually build that look. They create the dress, they create all of that. So how well it fits on them and how it looks, just the overall look, as well as their their actual their actual walk down the runway and how and just their presence. How they walk the runway like a model would walk the runway, which is
Yeah.
kind of the same thing that they judge on Project Runway.
Yeah, it's very much runway presentation, which is what is usually talked about, as opposed to just being like the look that they're wearing. Because sometimes there's people who like walk the stage and their outfits aren't the most flattering. They might not necessarily fit the theme the most, but if you can sell it, it can save you. And I think if for anyone who is here who also watched Paris is Burning, you see that a lot when they're showing the scenes of the ball. And you see like how much when they're scoring them and hyping them up, how much like personality can influence what they're wearing.
Okay, got you. So it seems then like it's more of a so like I never watched like Project Runway, I've never watched like America's Next Top Model, any of that stuff, but I guess then so what this is it's sort of like a modeling competition essentially, like everything from like the runway to the look to all of that.
Totally. That's how I've always been seen it. It's that it's just a drag a drag modeling competition. Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
in the same way that like like what like a Miss America pageant, like it's kind of similar to that, or like the little girls pageant things, it's that, but for drag queens, just that section of it.
Yeah, the pageant comparison is very
Pageant,
accurate.
gosh, I pageant, I mean, I'm losing English. Yeah, pageant, that's
Okay, I'm catching up, guys. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. I don't watch reality stuff either, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely don't apologize for like not understanding something in the show or whatever. It's very interesting that you did mention that because, when I first got into Drag Race, I kind of got into it and like I kind of understood, or at least I thought I understood what was going on with like the whole runway challenge, like the main challenge, the mini challenge, everything, and how the queens were all being judged. So it's very interesting to hear like others who are newer to the show who might not understand something right away. So it helps us like seasoned watchers to understand um any difficulties and any challenges that newbies might face with the show. So definitely do not apologize for that.
Well, and I think the thing that's just a little confusing for me is that there's so much. Sorry, my dog's coughing. That there's just like so much of like a performance element to it, and so like I mean I am familiar with shows like Dancing with the Stars where, like it's that performance that they're being judged on. So I guess but the performance is all encompassing, is what I'm hearing. Sorry, I'm really breaking this down far.
No, I love it, and I echo what Regina said. It's really helpful and very interesting to hear from other people. So I've been with this show since it started airing in 2009. So I haven't ever had any space from it. So it's interesting to hear from other people. I love it. So bring your questions.
Someone mentioned earlier that I couldn't catch who it was. I think it was Mandy, but that weren't buying Adore's tears.
Oh yeah.
Did you change your mind at the end, like seeing her face when she was safe? Like, 'cause she still looked pretty devastated.
I I just think that the tears in front of the judges seemed very forced, like as a way to try to get sympathy from them. I don't know, I just didn't feel it was genuine.
I'm nodding. Okay.
Yeah, I can understand that. I feel like tears are kind of part of the manipulation in reality TV. Like
Oh
you kind of
yeah.
see it a lot. People know it
Mhm.
works.
I mean, I still love Adore, I just didn't buy the tears.
I will say, like,
I
watching it now, it did kind of feel a little bit like shoot in there. Like, it felt very odd to see.
yeah.
Obviously, like, I still love Adore at the end of the day, but I was like, oh, like, we're cutting to this now. It just felt very out of place for me. So I understand where you're coming from.
You
also,
know,
it sort of felt like it kind of felt like, well, Adore, you're fine, you're not going home, like it felt like Adore, it I don't know, it felt sort of like if Adore doesn't get top slot in the week, Adore is not happy. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's very
she
accurate.
certainly wasn't going home, and I'm sure she could feel that.
Well, I would argue that she didn't feel that. I would think that she
Oh, maybe.
was worried, especially considering how good some of the other performances were. That she might have been concerned about being in the
In the
bottom, and
bottom.
certainly they could have. I think that production could have had a really interesting showdown with Adore and Laganja having to lip sync against each other. And where the show's been on for a few years, I think they would have been aware of some of those tactics, which have been seen in the show before. To push a storyline, you have queens who have been shown sort of with a prior relationship or some sort of falling out on the show end up having to lip sync against each other for the drama. And there was a lot of tension and drama between Adore and Laganja because they knew each other before being on the show. And then Adore was constantly calling Laganja out for not being herself and for not being the person that she knows. And that happened in the Untucked episode that goes along with what we just watched, where Bianca was calling Laganja out on stuff, but so was Adore, and saying, like, this is not who you are. So I wouldn't have been surprised if she thought that she could have ended up in the bottom for like a storyline.
Yeah, okay,
That makes
that's
sense.
fair. That's
Yeah.
That
fair.
that
And
definitely
maybe
makes sense.
and maybe using the tears as like, whether she's conscious of it or not, like using the tears as sort of a way to try to av- avoid her getting into the bottom or prevent her from getting into the bottom. Maybe that certainly felt like what was happening with Laganja. Like I definitely felt like Laganja was playing to sympathy.
I also
Yeah.
think like the judge's comments about like relying on her personality. I think that could have also, with everything that had been mentioned previously, I think that definitely could have factored into the whole tears sort of thing. Um yeah.
Yeah, I
I,
agree. I was gonna say, like, with them commenting on her personality and relying on being, whatever, and then knowing that Laganja isn't being herself, she was probably like, "What the hell?" Like, I can.
I thought that Adore's stand up was fine. I didn't think that it was phenomenal, but I thought it was funny and it was a style. There's a type of comedian that's their shtick is just absolute expletives every single other sentence. It's a total comic style, and there are plenty of really famous and funny comedians who do it. And I thought that through that lens, if you just say, okay, that's the kind of comic that Adore wants to be, and that Adore is being if she's going to be true to herself, I thought that it was decent. It certainly wasn't like anything. It wasn't anything like Dela or Laganja or Jocelyn. I thought it was like light years ahead of those.
It was definitely very Adore.
Yeah,
It
maybe not
it
light years,
wasn't
but it was
as
definitely ahead.
it wasn't as bad as some of the worst performances, but I was disappointed in it because I just thought she was going to do better.
For
I thought
sure.
she would, yeah, I thought she would be funnier. I
I
mean,
just
I do adore, but like she's I think that she's funnier when she hasn't written it down. Um,
Yeah.
but like
I
the
agree with you,
writing, the
Mandy.
jokes, I don't think she
absolutely.
did very well.
Yeah,
Adore
I
is like
just
naturally funny.
Yeah.
I didn't
Adore,
really think
Adore
she
is one of the
connected.
best. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say I just feel like she didn't really know her audience there.
Yeah. Adore Adore is for me the best interviewer, like interviewee. Like my favorite like interview clips are Adore's for that reason. That Adore is just naturally funny, and when she's just completely improvising, not even improvising, it's just that she's just behaving in her funny self. She's amazing, and all of those interview clips are just hilarious, which contrasts how I feel about, I've said this before, still not there, how I feel about Bianca's interview clips. They feel more crafted,
Yeah.
a little bit more honed, and and playing for the camera, whereas Adores are just, well, I adore them. They're great.
Yeah, and the judges, I think, recognize that too because they even said, that she shouldn't always rely on her charm and personality. I think it's because they know that like she's magnetic. Um, but yeah, she disappointed me a little bit tonight.
And Adore did worse than what we saw in the main episode because they showed more scenes from her stand up in Untucked, and she was incredibly uncomfortable and constantly called out how anxious she was and how nervous she was because this was her first time doing stand-up. So they kind of did her a favor in the main episode by cutting that stuff out, making her look better than she actually did.
Question: could you give us just a very quick overview of how much different maybe there wasn't enough of it, but if there was, how much different were each of them from any additional footage that you might see in Untucked? Like, for example, Dela, how much of that was edited and how much of it was just a railroad train, just train of of uh, of dialogue without any real pause for a joke or for laughs or anything? Was that edited, or was there more to suggest that was basically what you got? What you saw is what you got.
Yeah, they only showed extra clips from Adora's performance, but they talked about everybody's, and
Okay.
Dela thought she was going to be in the bottom because of how bad the performance went. So it was what you saw. Like, everybody thought that it was going to be probably Laganja and Dela in the bottom, and then it wasn't really they didn't really factor in Jocelyn. Like, they showed a few of the highlights, and there was a few moments they showed actually extra from Trinity that were really funny. So we saw how funny Trinity's whole thing was, but they showed a couple of extra little moments from there that just proved she was consistently funny throughout the whole thing. It almost makes it a little worse that she didn't win,
Yeah,
to
I
be
was like, don't
honest.
tell me that. Don't tell me that.
But
Wow.
everybody thought that Bianca was going to win because how funny she was. And the same thing with Trinity is that they didn't show every joke Bianca made, but she made every joke and every joke landed, which is the difference between some of the other acts that we saw.
Dela was terrible, but Jocelyn was also terrible. With the exception of that little opening bit, the rest of it was really, really terrible. And so was Laganja.
I thought that little beginning bit would have saved Jocelyn over Dela, though, because nobody laughed at anything Dela said.
Yeah, that's true.
Or at least Jocelyn started funny.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. I mean, I think that probably my sense is probably this was a producer's thing. They knew that they were sending Laganja home, that there was very little that Laganja could do to really save herself. I mean, I'm just guessing here.
Yes, because also in the Untucked episode, Laganja wants to just quit then and there.
Right.
After the critiques, she basically tells producers, just send me home now. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. So it's not really a surprise that they were like, okay.
Right.
Because
so they were ready to send her home. They have to have they have to have a final lip sync that is a little bit more interesting than it would be to put Dela into the bottom 2 weeks in a row.
I mean, we saw sort of what Dela can do at this point in a lip sync against Darian. And Laganja being a dancer, I really think that they would have had a very hard time justifying keeping Dela, because she just doesn't do those kind of flips and tricks and things that Laganja does. So if Laganja even tried, she would really show up Dela, and they'd kind of have to send Dela home, which is obviously not what they want to do if they just saved her the week before.
We didn't even scratch the surface on Courtney. Have we completely forgotten about her? She's just fading into
she's just that forgettable. Sorry.
She's just that forgettable.
She's
just
no
fading into the
printer,
background.
No printer, just facts.
That's funny.
That's funny.
She's just a pretty face.
I've not been a fan since day one, and I'm just ready for her to go.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff between her and Jocelyn was just I don't know if that was just clever editing or what, but man, does it make Courtney look awful.
And it gets more uncomfortable too, because Jocelyn has come out to her and said, what you're doing like sucks. I don't like it. Could you not? And Courtney still continues to do it anyways. And she kind of acts like, "Oh, I'm just doing you a favor." Like I'm being brutally honest. It's like,
And she
I don't know.
knows she's a fan. Like that is
I know.
such.
It's just it
It's
sucks.
so shady. It's super
It's
shady.
awful.
She's being Emily Gilmore. Like, she's like, I don't care. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking. And
Trinity is pretty high up for me. Trinity is pretty close to the. It's so interesting how much my perception on all of them has changed. But
I'm
but
still
still not
waiting
Bianca yet.
for like a big Darian moment. I feel like she's doing really well, and but just kind of like coasting through at the same level constantly.
Yeah, same.
It's
Like
interesting.
I liked her when she first came in, and now she's just sort of fading for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because she she should be one of the biggest personalities on the show. She has a great wit. There's a lot, but I have to be honest. It feels like the producers are not editing her very well. They're
That's what
not
I
giving.
feel too.
I feel like there's a reason why I don't care about her, even though my brain is saying I should, because she's got the full package. She's interesting, she's sexy, she's funny, all of these things, but why don't I care? And the only thing that I can think is the producers don't want me to care. They're not focusing enough on her.
Didn't you say, Elle, that she came in as like a fan vote on, and maybe that's why, like, because they didn't really choose her, the fans did, so maybe that's why they're not giving her like, you know, enough screen time.
Yeah, I could say that that could be part of it. It's hard to know exactly. Like I have my speculation, and I think that it's, they're really looking at the storylines that they want to tell, and who they're trying to make look good, and who they're trying to give like, a specific storyline or arc to. Because one thing that I've noticed with Drag Race, and if anybody's seen a couple of seasons probably can say the same thing, is that they copy a lot of storylines that are like iconic from other reality shows. The person who struggles but then has, kind of rises to success, or like the person who comes in at the top of their game only to like go home
Oh
first.
yeah, but
Like
those
there's
are all the formula. That's like
exactly.
those are the formulas of all competition shows. Like especially these types of competition shows that are a mix between competition and docudrama.
Yes.
That they all that like there's like a textbook that you could actually like find every single one of those shows. I bet they even have names for that. Like
Oh
like that
yeah.
there's an actual like name for the underdog who ends up like making it, because all of that stuff is just absolutely 100% crafted. Maybe it's not like they make it up completely, but they do find somebody who can fit that archetype, and then all they have to do is just edit them right, put sometimes feed them the right lines, all of that kind of stuff. And um and my sense is that Darian just is not a story they really feel strongly about telling. Um, Whereas Adore, regardless of whether she does well one week or poorly one week, you can feel that the producers really care about her as a contestant. And in that way, I can I feel confident that Adore goes really, really far in the competition, maybe even to the finals. Just simply because they seem to want me to care about that.
So, Elle, I have a question. Do they ever like, so I know, like, for example, in The Bachelor, even if like a guy's not going to make it or a girl's not going to make it to like the final, um they some of them seem to get like a lot of screen time either for drama or to go into like one of these sort of more like off season type special shows. Like Survivor has like fan favorites or things like that too. So do they ever do stuff like that with this show?
Yeah, they have all-star seasons, which are the best seasons of the show. And I do think that certain queens, they kind of guess based off of what they've seen, and especially more in later seasons, their reputation going in to determine who gets the most screen time, who they're going to try and sell for these future seasons. It doesn't always work in their favor. Sometimes people are drawn to queens that kind of get eliminated first, which has been really interesting. Um, I think an example of that, in a later season, there's a queen that goes home first, but then becomes like a huge viral sensation, and then ends up coming back for the very next regular season. And that's happened a few times where queens that have been the first out have come back, or have come back because of like something like an injury or something. So they kind of play into that by giving them the most positive screen time as well. And then unfortunately they kind of do the reverse with some other contestants and give them the quote unquote villain edit, which can actually be really damaging to them in real life and hurt their chances of getting back on the show and getting positive attention from fans.
Mm-hmm.
But I highly
I cut out
recommend
early,
all the
y'all. Y'all have a
All-Star
good night.
seasons.
Oh,
Oh,
I
good
was
night,
saying
Hunter.
bye. Y'all have a good night.
But I
Night.
highly recommend all the All-Star seasons. It's hard. I know it seems impossible to go into them without having context of the regular seasons. But they are the style, especially the most recent one. I feel like they've really nailed the format, and it's much better than the regular season. Just the way that they handle everything from the challenges to how they do eliminations. It's the better, it's the superior version of the show.
Yeah, I'm
Interesting.
excited to watch those.
Yeah, I
As
mean,
new
all star survivors are like some of the best, if not the best survivors.
as a new fan, I've binged the whole regular series and now I'm finished with All Star season 1. I totally agree with you. I enjoy that more than the regular seasons.
Okay, well, I just dropped the memento to
Wonderful.
wrap everything up here.
I'm gonna actually head out and focus on Discord on the memento. But thank you so much, Al, Regina. This was a lot of fun and great episode.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you for coming. I love this episode, so I'm always very happy to share those highlights. So this was had a lot of good moments, a lot of cringy, but all together, so good.
It was definitely fun to revisit. I haven't watched this one in a very long time, so this was a treat,
Oh,
as always.
it was a cringer, that's for sure. All right, see you all in the Discord.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you guys for leading me into this. You guys are great guides.
Oh, thanks. You're too
Oh,
kind.
thank you so much.
All right, bye. Good night, guys.
Good
Good night. All right, I think I'm gonna close the room, but I'll go hang out on Discord for a little bit if anybody needs any help with the memento.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks
And thanks
for
for
hosting.
Gina thanks for jumping in as co-host.
Oh,
Thanks
last
for
minute.
hosting.
Thanks for coming, Kristen. All right, good night, everyone.
All right, good night.